We're at the beginning of section 3 of the Yoga Vasistha, which is to do with creation. Now, the word creation to us in the West has certain resonances. If we're religious and believe in God, then we kind of think of creation as what God's known for, and it's a very important act, and we like God because of it. Or we think of creation in physical terms, perhaps in terms of the Big Bang. Big Bang was the moment of creation. But in Yoga Vasistha, it's personal. It's to do with you. And if that seems strange, then what we do is think about your dreams again. Think about the creation which is going on in your dreams. You're lying there fast asleep. You do this when you're fast asleep as well, isn't that amazing? You're fast asleep. You create whole scenarios. You create people, maybe people you know, people you don't know. You might create creatures which don't otherwise exist. It's all going on, isn't it? And it's not just like being creative in the sense of creating interesting stories. It's real. It is real for the duration of the dream. That is what is real. That's what you're totally immersed in, totally engaging in. And the weird thing is we just dismiss it when we wake up, don't we? It was just a dream. This incredible creativity that is going on deep within our own minds, we dismiss. It's just a dream. I sometimes wonder if that's why there's no such thing as ghosts. Because when somebody dies, that's what happens. This reality slips away. And no matter what emotions you experienced, what attachments you have, they become irrelevant, and you move on to something else. So this is the kind of creation we're talking about. Creation which is intimate to us, not creation which happened in remote outer space or in past history as an act of some divine being. Vasistha continued, I shall now declare to you the creation and its secret. For it is only as long as one invests the perceived object with reality that bondage lasts. Once that notion goes, with it goes bondage. Here in this creation, only that which is created grows, decays, and then goes to either heaven or to hell, and it gets liberated. I'm not sure we've had the secret yet. The important thing is, as long as one invests the perceived object with reality, as long as we think that there is something going on out there, completely independent of us, that's when we're in bondage. During the cosmic dissolution, the entire objective creation is resolved into the infinite being, which is variously designated as Atma, Brahman, truth, etc. by the wise, to facilitate communication and dialogue. This same infinite self conceives within itself the duality of oneself and the other. So I call the cognitive process. The self, the infinite self, it sounds rather grand and cosmic, but that's us. That is us. We are the centre of this infinite experiencing. So this same infinite self conceives within itself the duality of oneself and the other. This is the cognitive process kicking off. Thence mind arises, as a wave arises when the surface of the calm ocean is disturbed. But please bear in mind that just as a bracelet of gold is but gold, and though gold exists without being a bracelet, bracelet does not exist without gold or other metal. The qualities and the nature of the created and the potentiality of creation are inherent in the Creator. The mind is non-different from, has no existence independent of, the infinite self. So we're not creating some duality here. We're not saying that, yes, there are all these objects out there and they are not to do with the inner reality. They're intrinsically linked. And do the objects in a dream have some independent existence? They're all linked by being objects of the dream. They're all part of the same dream stuff, if you like. They're not made up of different things. A chair in a dream is not made up of different things from a cloud in a dream. They're all part of the mind stuff of the dreamer. Even as the mirage appears to be a very real river of water, this creation appears to be entirely real. And as long as one clings to the notion of the reality of you and I, there is no liberation. Not by merely and verbally denying such a notion of existence is it obliterated. On the contrary, such denial itself becomes a further distraction. So it might seem like we're putting across an idea here that everything's linked, which is a nice idea. But it's actually a description of how things are. And either you see that or you don't. And if you don't see it, but like the idea of it, then you've got to be careful with that, because then you're operating according to an idea. So if you start denying that things are separate, then that itself becomes a further distraction. Rama. If the creation is in fact real, then there is no possibility of its cessation. For it is an immutable law that the unreal has no real existence, and the real does not cease to be. So if something is real, it's not going to stop, is it? It's not going to suddenly become unreal. Austerity, meditation, and such other practices can therefore not cause its cessation nor enlightenment. As long as the notion of creation lasts, even the contemplation, samadhi, in which there is no movement of thought, nirvikalpa, is not possible. So there's no point in going into samadhi, there's no point in going into absorption in being if you still believe that all of creation actually is real. You know, there's no point in going into meditation with an escapist mentality, because you're trying to escape from something, and if you're trying to escape from something, then what you're assuming is that what you're escaping from is real. So the more you meditate in order to get away from something, the more you're actually developing the reality of that thing that you're getting away from.